Well, hi everybody. Welcome to the introduction to jazz drumming. So glad to be with you. We're going to cover a variety of different things with the foundational beginnings of jazz drumming. As you probably know, jazz has a humongous history, and it's really the backbone of American music dating back for many, many years. The role of the drummer is different depending on what subgenre of jazz you're in. And, it goes anything from big band to smaller band drumming to contemporary jazz to modern jazz and everything in between. For the purposes of our curriculum, we're going to talk about jazz drumming in a smaller band context. There will be some concepts with big band drumming in some later lessons, but for the most part, we're going to get you going on some general independence with jazz and the foundations of how to start some small band work. Now, for those who are getting involved with jazz, especially small band, you must familiarize yourself with the real book. The real book is a standard book of jazz tunes that date back many years, and they're the basic lead sheets of all different jazz tunes, and every instrument can follow along with these with chord symbols, measures, the entire form, melody, and so on and so forth. Most of the times you will be called for a jazz gig, you will be referring to this book, playing songs out of this book, and as a drummer, you may use the book, or you may already know the rules of the tunes that you're playing, and you'll be able to play without the book. However, it's very good to get familiarized with jazz standards and with the different volumes of the real book. As we go through some of these lessons, I'm going to talk about form. I'm going to talk about some ideas of how to approach these standards as a drummer with the rules and what to play. So it's very important to pay attention to the things I say as I'm giving away a lot of the rules to how to approach this. From an equipment standpoint, it's a very different setup and tuning compared to your normal modern day music, say like rock music or funk music. So I'll just walk you through some of the ideas here to get ready for a nice jazz setup. First of all, I'm using cymbals that are a lot darker. They're hand-hammered cymbals, and this one is a little bit bigger. This is a 22-inch ride, and it's a darker sound, as you can hear. And I don't know if you can notice, but I also have the bottom of the cymbals taped a little bit, and it doles out the sound somewhat so that it doesn't ring as much. And this is a cymbal also by Paiste. These are from the traditional line of Paiste, and also hand-hammered, and these sort of match each other in tone and quality. And I have a Paiste 13-inch 20 series that is a lighter cymbal. They're actually called light hi-hats, and they're not as large sounding and full-bodied as a normal hi-hat that you'd really be smashing on. So when you chick it with your foot, you can hear that the chick is real clear, but lighter. So it kind of matches with the whole darker, lighter jazz type of tone. Notice I also have a 4-piece setup. I don't have 2 up and 2 down of toms, just 1 up, 1 down. That's probably your most common jazz setup. I have them tuned very high as well. If you listen to the upper tom, you're gonna really wanna crank that top head. That's more the common traditional jazz type tuning. With a rock tuning, you're gonna have a lower, fuller bodied tune, whereas this is going to be really cranked up. And I'm also using coated heads, which are very common in a jazz setting. The coated dulls out the sound a little bit, and it's not that clear, ticky plastic sound that you would get from a clear head. For the snare, I have a coated snare head as well. I happen to actually like the controlled sound, which have a dot under it. It controls like a little excess ring. You do want some ring from your snare in jazz, but you don't want it to, totally take over your sound in general. So I like the controlled sound. Coated, and I also tune the snare head down a little bit. It's not very low, but it's not also really high-pitched crack like you would get with a backbeat for rock or funk. So I have this tuned down slightly. Good for rolls. Gives a nice ringier sound. Floor tom just as well is tuned up. And my bass drum is tuned up really high as well. This is a 20-inch Yamaha bass drum, and it's cranked from both sides, both heads, so that it has a little bit more body to it as far as ring, and there's not a lot of click and low end. And oftentimes I'm playing heel down and pulling the beater off of the head rather than playing full heel up and really driving into the head. So there's a very different approach with jazz and jazz tuning than you would get in a rock setup, which is usually a little lower, larger, more sound, that sort of thing. Also, I'm using a 5A stick. In rock or funk, I'm going to use something like a 5B. Jazz, I'm more comfortable with a 5A. I would probably not go much higher than that. That's my suggestion. There are a lot of sticks that are some customized sticks for jazz, either from artists that you might get or just in general, some jazz sticks in general. For instance, the AJ1 jazz sticks or the AJ series, American Jazz Series from Vic Firth works great for the jazz line. And you're really looking for tone and overall sound. The other musicians are looking for that too. You know, if you show up at a gig with a larger kit and everything's tuned down, they're not really going to have that jazz sound in their ear from their drummer. So you want to work on some of this tuning and some of this matchup of equipment to really offer the right sound that all of your musicians are looking for, not just you as the drummer. Now, as we start to get into the material for this course, we're going to really get into the idea of jazz independence, where to start with your time, where to start with the surfaces against your time. I'm going to give you some suggestions about some books and some melodies to work on to develop your skills in this. And after a while, you will have a good foundation of how to go about playing jazz in a jazz setting with other jazz musicians. It's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned, and we're going to get rolling into the course.